This is the scene of the Tokyo trial. 28 Japanese Class A war criminals in front of the ironclad evidence. This is how they argued.
南京において大虐殺などというものは起こっておりません。日本軍によって中国人捕虜、民間人、婦女子に対する組織的かつ残忍な虐殺、強姦が行われたという指摘は全く事実無根であります。
無罪です。私は無罪であります。私は無罪です。すべての訴因に関しまして私は無罪を主張いたします。
In order to clear themselves of the crime, Japan even sent more than 100 defense lawyers. There are even 48 pages of handwritten testimony from a war criminal. They threatened to fight with the Chinese lawyers for 300 rounds. Faced with such tremendous pressure, Chinese judge Mei Ruorao vowed he would use what he had learned in his life to send these devils to hell. And it was he who established the international status of China in this trial. Not only that, before the trial began, the Chinese delegation was flouted again. A military tribunal composed of 11 allied nations. China was seated in third place. According to the order of the surrender document, Chinese judges should have been seated in second place. Mei Ruorao left the court in anger after hearing this, because this is not simply a matter of ranking. This is a representation of China's international status. He would rather resign his seat as a judge, but to defend China's dignity.
My homeland, China, has been invaded and plundered by Japanese for over 50 years. To the Chinese people, Chinese-Japanese war criminals is a heavy responsibility, a great responsibility. We are not here for pleasure. I refuse to accept this arrangement that has no ground at all in any law or reason. In this war against Japanese aggression, China has suffered the most, for the longest, and the hardest. The United Kingdom, on the other hand, have been retreating and surrendering time and time again. It is unthinkable that China's place in this trial should be relegated to a spot under the UK.
Finally, with the insistence of Mei Ruorao, he fought for the second position. The next day, the trial began. 28 Class A war criminals were brought to court one after another. While the prosecutor was reading out the war criminals' crimes, one of the war criminals suddenly started to act like a fool.
Remove that man from the courtroom!
His name is Xiaomei Okawa, the organizer of the September the 18th incident. He was the only war criminal who escaped trial by pretending to be crazy. And the next thing that made people even more furious was that the Japanese defense attorney made the first move. He questioned the qualifications of the 11 national juries and the fairness of the trial. This was a challenge to the authority of the judges of the 11 countries. The chief judge was so angry that the court was adjourned on the spot. This was all a Japanese strategy. After the International Court of Justice had deliberated, they rejected Japan's unreasonable request. The trial continued as usual, but the trial didn't go as smoothly as expected.